on, guys. Thank you so very much for joining me right here on Off the Script. It is Friday, May 29th, 2020. Man, oh man. While social media is burning to the ground, legitimately, a cesspool of garbage, I found this little gem. On social media this afternoon. And I wanted to divulge into why this is complete garbage. I found this to be absolutely laughable. Laughable. Now, we all know that the greatest wrestling match ever is not going to take place at Backlash 2020. We all know that is not going to happen. Randy Orton and Edge are not going to have the greatest wrestling match ever. It's a rib on what they did coming out of WrestleMania. It's a disrespectful rib. Some might find it to be humorous. But this is just another instance in which guys like that and professional wrestlers like that do not respect their fan base. It could be looked at as a comedic rib. But instead of making it into a joke and actually living up to the fact that your match sucked at WrestleMania 36, could have been a lot better. Could have actually been a lot better. More along the lines of Tommaso Ciampa and Johnny Gargano and what they did for their cinematic match. I feel instead of actually shitting on the fans, they could actually go and do something and correct all of the wrong that they did there and make the fans happy. Everybody loves Edge. Everybody, for the most part, has enjoyed what Randy Orton has done in his recent stint on WWE television. I think it's been great. If the feud has been gauged on promos alone, it would be absolutely fantastic. But the wrestling match itself coming out of WrestleMania, that last man standing match, did absolutely nothing but kill all the vibes surrounding what these two guys are doing and the story that they're trying to tell. So instead of actually shitting on the fans because of their opinion on the match, WWE, Randy Orton, and Edge have taken it upon themselves to make fun of it and make fun of the fan base at the same time and label this upcoming match on June 14th the greatest wrestling match ever. So what WWE has done is they have taken some of the most iconic matches in this history of WWE and have put them and the headlining act on a t-shirt to promote greatest wrestling match ever, the merchandise line. And this is what you're looking at right now. Now, let's look through these and see if these belong on a t-shirt. Bret Hart versus Shawn Michaels at WrestleMania 12 in their WWF Championship match, 60-minute Iron Man match. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that it wasn't iconic. Not going to sit here and tell you it was a bad match. It was a great match. Is it a match that belongs on a t-shirt? I don't think so. Is it a match that I'm going to look back and say is one of the greatest matches of all time? Absolutely not. I think it's one of the most overrated matches of all time. And back in that period, actually, me and my brothers, me and everybody that I knew were so big on Bret Hart that Shawn Michaels back in that time at the age that I was, we looked at him as we looked at Hulk Hogan when he was being shoved down our throat. We looked at him as Roman Reigns and how WWE has shoved him down our throat for the last 6 or 7 years. I was not a big Shawn Michaels guy during that time period. I was absolutely pro Bret Hart. So I do not think that is one of the greatest wrestling matches of all time. The Rock versus Stone Cold Steve Austin at WrestleMania 17. Now that is something that belongs on a t-shirt. The color, not too big on the blue. Hopefully there are a variety of color options, but that is an iconic match, and that is a match that pretty much signifies what that time period in WWE is all about. That match. So I have absolutely no problem with that match being on a t-shirt. And a lot of people say that WrestleMania is the greatest WrestleMania ever. So that's that. Steamboat and Macho Man Randy Savage at WrestleMania 3. It is a match that you look back on and everybody says, what's your favorite match of all time? That's the one match that a lot of people are going to talk about. And you see the 5 stars there at the bottom of the t-shirt. Do I think it is one of the greatest matches of all time? To an extent, to a degree. Do I think it's slightly overrated? That is what I believe. I do think it's slightly overrated. But I'm not going to sit here and tell you that it doesn't belong on a t-shirt. It absolutely does. It's an iconic moment, and a moment in a time period where people still, to this day, certainly more than Shawn Michaels and Bret Hart, always talk about that match being legendary and how iconic it is to the overall business in itself. So absolutely that belongs on a t-shirt. Brock Lesnar and Eddie Guerrero. I got my Latino Heat t-shirt on today. No Way Out. I don't want to sit here and tell you that it wasn't a great match. It absolutely was. I was a huge fan of Eddie Guerrero. Everybody loves and respects Eddie Guerrero. The match itself, I don't know. The match itself was great. But I think the ending itself is what really deserves to highlight this match and have it be on a t-shirt. That's the way I see it. But that match itself, absolutely. And still, looking back at the first option here, Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels, I think it deserves to be on a t-shirt more than Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels does from WrestleMania 12. Just a better match. Just a better match in my opinion. The next in line here, man, is Cactus Jack versus Triple H for the WWE Championship. Street fight, Madison Square Garden, the Royal Rumble. You guys know what I'm talking about. You guys know what I'm talking about. This is the one match that Triple H has spoken about publicly as the turning point of his career. I was never a big Triple H guy. Actually, I've said it time and time again. I'm more of a Triple H guy now than I was when he was an active wrestler, just based on what he's done with NXT. But this is the one match that he's spoken of publicly as the turning point in his career. One of the greatest street fights of all time. And, you know, it's amazing, man, how legendary of a career Mick Foley has and how many iconic moments Mick Foley has had in his entire career. From what he's done with Cactus Jack, the character of Cactus Jack, from what he's done with Dude Love, from what he's done with Mankind and The Undertaker, and that being one of the greatest feuds that this company has ever seen, never to be duplicated ever again. Every situation you put Mick Foley in, he's always come out and made everybody else in the ring with him that much better, including himself. It's unbelievable what the man has done as far as a career, and when we look back at it, it's something that's, I think, everybody will talk about for the rest of their days. Every time you talk about WWE and the history of WWE, you're going to mention Mick Foley. You're going to talk about Mick Foley. You're going to show someone. You're going to show your children, son or daughter, an iconic Mick Foley moment. It's unbelievable. So I have no problem with that being on a t-shirt. Takeover. Sasha Banks and Bayley. NXT Takeover New York, Brooklyn, #1. Absolutely. Absolutely. I remember where I was and who I was with when I watched this match. And to this day, I think we watched this match in complete silence. We watched this match with complete and utter silence because of what these two women were doing in that ring. Never have I seen anything in my days like these two women did on that night. This is the one moment, and it was probably even before this, but this is the one moment that everybody hangs on to the women's revolution. This is what kickstarted the women's revolution. And I absolutely have to agree. It took whatever Paige and Tenille Dashwood did. It took whatever happened before all of that and just said, you know what? You got to start paying attention to us. Has WWE done this match justice coming out of that takeover? Absolutely not. WWE hasn't even had a match anywhere near the level of importance that Bayley and Sasha Banks had on that night. One of the greatest, if not the greatest women's matches ever And I don't think it will ever be duplicated in WWE. And it pains me. It sucks when I have to sit here and talk about how important Sasha and Bayley are to the women's revolution, which I think is complete bullshit. WWE has taken what the revolution really stood for there, turned it into their own political agenda with whatever they're doing now, and it's nowhere near where it should be on WWE television. Women's wrestling is a joke nowadays. While the real women's wrestling, if you want real women's wrestling, you go back and watch what these two women did on that night. Bret Hart versus the British Bulldog, SummerSlam. Listen, man, I'm not going to sit here and tell you it was a bad match. But what I know of the match now, after reading excerpts coming out of Bret Hart's book, it might actually have made the match better. It actually might have made what Bret Hart did up until this point and kind of magnified it and showed everybody how great he really was, to be quite honest with you. But what was more important? The Intercontinental Championship and the fact that it was in the main event? What Bret Hart did for that Intercontinental Championship, or the match itself? What was more important coming out of that match? The fact that the IC title was looked upon as a main event level championship, that everybody should have, sat down and said, you know what, I want to be the Intercontinental Champion. That's the one thing I want to strive for. The match itself was not that good at all, in my honest and genuine opinion. I think it was completely overrated. Was it a main event match? No. In fact, I think the Ultimate Warrior, Macho Man Randy Savage match should have been in the main event on that night. And the only reason why this match headlined was because of where it was and who was in it. I don't think it's one of the greatest matches ever. Iconic, yes, but more so iconic for the individuals in it and where SummerSlam actually took place, and the fact that WWE has not revisited that particular area for a pay-per-view since 1992. That's why it's on a t-shirt. I mean, what do I need to say about this one, man? The Undertaker versus Shawn Michaels, WrestleMania 25. In the littlest words I could use possible. Greatest match ever. Greatest WrestleMania match ever. No WrestleMania match will ever come close to what these two guys did on that night. Simple. It's one of the greatest things that WWE has ever produced. Simple. SummerSlam. John Cena, AJ Styles, one of the greatest wrestling matches ever? I don't know if I would go that far. Is it important to what AJ Styles was in and around in that time period coming on into the WWE? Absolutely. Was this an important match for John Cena to kind of put to rest all of the haters and all the detractors out there that John Cena has had throughout his entire career? Absolutely. I enjoyed their Royal Rumble match more than I did this match, to be perfectly honest with you. This match was great, but I just enjoyed the Royal Rumble match a little bit more, in my honest opinion. But John Cena, no matter what you think of John Cena, this is my personal opinion. You can obviously sit there and say, nah, JD, I don't agree with you. John Cena is one of the greatest of all time. First ballot Hall of Famer, one of the greatest men to ever hold a microphone in a ring on this show. John Cena, I've enjoyed John Cena's work more now. I enjoy John Cena for who he is now more than I did when he was an active WWE superstar, giving us the overexposure treatment to the fans. He was jammed down our throat just like every other big man in the WWE. I appreciate what John Cena is to the WWE more now than he was when he was an active in-ring performer. But this was an absolute classic. It showed how great AJ Styles is and the fact that he could work with anybody. And it showed how good John Cena really is when people don't think John Cena is really all that good. I thought it was a great match. T-shirt? I'll leave it up to debate. And this next one, man, I mean, don't even get me started. Really. This is on a t-shirt. You would gladly walk around and wear that and those three women on your t-shirt. Bro, really? Greatest wrestling match ever? Bro, I'm not even going to sit here and laugh. I want to, but I won't. So we'll have this man do it for us. Oh, man. Really? Really? Unbelievable, man. I would never, A, put that on a shirt, B, say it's the greatest wrestling or one of the greatest wrestling matches ever, and C, wear it in public for other people to see. Oh, man. Thank you guys so much for joining me on the podcast. I wanted to go over that, man, because a lot of people are talking about this Randy Orton and Edge situation. I seen that as a good talking point for the show, and I wanted to go over how I feel just by WWE putting that on their shop and actually selling most of those shirts, except for the last one. Putting most of those shirts out there and showing everybody what real wrestling matches are, or matches that could absolutely be interpreted as the greatest wrestling matches ever, and then put it up against the Randy Orton and Edge situation, man. You know, they don't have a lot going for them. They don't have a lot going for them going into this match at Backlash, and being that Edge has had one match in 9 years coming out of a retirement in which he never thought he would return. And Randy Orton not really being known for, you know, being that type of guy to be labeled in a match that's called the greatest wrestling match ever. I mean, you're setting them up for inevitable failure. And I'm not saying that in a disrespectful way. I hate the fact that they're booking this match with this type of wording. It's almost a slap in the face of everybody. I just wish that they would actually appreciate the fans more than I know they really do. And that's not the first time I'm going to be saying that, because we got a couple more weeks of build before we get into Backlash. I'm sure I'm going to shit on it, when we go into the show, when I watch the match, and I'm going to sit here and tell you on June 14th while I'm live on YouTube covering the show, I told you so. The first thing I'm going to say when I go live on June 14th, I told you so. Now, there is a chance that they could prove everybody wrong. I just don't think that they will. It's kind of shitty that they're doing that and ribbing the fans, even though they might think it's ha 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 ha. I'm looking at it as ha 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 ha. You guys are marks, and you shit on our match at WrestleMania, so now we're going to troll you and get a laugh out of it because you guys are wrong and we're right because we're WWE superstars. Give me a break. Thank you guys for watching Off the Script, man. We're going to get right into it. Follow me on social media at JDfromNY206. That's on Twitter and Instagram. If I were you, I would love a follow. Believe me, I would love a follow. Thank you for pushing my follower number up to 31,000 plus on Twitter. But if I were you, I would actually stay off social media because it's nothing more than a cesspool of complete garbage at this hour. So please stay off of it. But if you guys want to jump back on, I'll be live tweeting during SmackDown tonight. So please join me then. At JDfromNY206 on Twitter and Instagram. Thank you guys so very much. I had to disable most of my Instagram account because you people are a bunch of fucking psychopaths. You guys are a bunch of degenerates to the utmost degree. Every single day I open up my Instagram, there's a death threat of some sort to me, my family, my dog, my neighbor, my cat. Give me a break. I mean, are you guys human beings or are you guys complete scum of the earth? I'm going to take scum of the earth, please, Alex, for 500. Give me a break, folks. Be a decent human fucking being, okay? Stop with the death threats. Give me a break. And I'd love for you to come up to me and whoever I'm with, my entourage, at a convention and do what you say you're going to do to me on social media. It's not going to happen. Give me a fucking break. But thank you guys so very much for all the support during this tumultuous week. It's been one of those crazy weeks where I had a lot of anxiety. If you guys want to go check out my apology, and people are still coming to me, JD, did you apologize? Yeah, I apologized. It's on my Monday Night Raw review. Please go and check it out, as well as the entire review of Monday Night Raw, which I thought was a decent show. For the first time in many months, a decent show of Monday Night Raw. So go check that out, AEW Dynamite. I was live for NXT. Everything you need is linked down below in the description of this very video. If you guys are watching me on YouTube, I would greatly appreciate a thumbs up. Hit that subscribe button down below as well. Thank you for 117,000 subscribers. If you guys are listening to me on iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, Podbean, Stitcher, or any audio platform of that nature, please leave a like. Please leave a rating of some sort if you can, and a comment. Greatly helps out the podcast in the rankings. I actually looked at the rankings for Off the Script, we are ranked in the top 30 all-time of wrestling podcasts in the United States, man. So keep doing your thing. 5-star rating on iTunes goes a long way for the podcast. I can't believe you guys have really come out and supported me this week, and I really appreciate it. I love you, and thank you for all the support. We're only going to be bigger and better than ever after this, believe me. Make sure you guys check out the Patreon page as well, patreon.com/JDfromNY206. And if you guys want to do that, never an obligation. It's always there if you want to show some extra appreciation for what I do here on the channel. I'll be tonight reviewing SmackDown, of course, and I want to get right into it, man. We're going to go over what's going to happen on SmackDown, and it seems to be a loaded show tonight. Seems to be a loaded show for SmackDown. Bruce, my good old buddy Bruce, might have a good show on his hands. We'll see what happens. AJ Styles versus Elias. I don't really give a shit about Elias. I don't think anybody really does. And then we got Daniel Bryan versus Jeff Hardy. We got Matt Riddle debuting in some way, shape, or form. And whatever's going on with The Miz and Morrison, hey, no, and boring Strowman on SmackDown for the WWE Universal Championship. What a way to get your championship to mean something. Feud it, or feud the former tag team champions, in this case, Miz and Morrison against Braun Strowman. Man, that sounds like an enthralling feud. I can't wait to watch, said nobody ever. WWE doesn't seem to know the damage that they're doing by doing all of this with Braun Strowman, the Universal title, Miz and Morrison. It's a joke. It's an absolute joke. I would debut Matt Riddle on SmackDown and have him take the fucking title off Braun Strowman immediately. So at least at that point, we have a real WWE World Heavyweight Champion. Braun Strowman does nothing for the show. He's actually harming the show as far as ratings go. Yeah, I run fast. Yeah, so are the ratings. Right down the fucking toilet. What to expect on SmackDown? This week's SmackDown was actually filmed earlier this week on Monday, meaning some spoilers have leaked for the matches, returns, and even a debut that will be happening on tonight's show. It was reported last week that Drew Gulak had opted to rejoin WWE. Good. I'm a big Drew Gulak guy. After the company actually allowed his contract to expire. It is believed that Gulak asked for a raise and WWE rejected his request. But what was it? They signed Ric Flair to a new contract, right? A couple of weeks ago, they signed Ric Flair to a new contract, but they didn't want to give Drew Gulak, at that time, a little bit of a raise to stay with the WWE. Then they wouldn't have had to go through all this nonsense. Drew Gulak would have been one of those guys that was on the show and didn't have to take a couple of weeks off. Yeah, we'll give Ric Flair a big contract, and we'll do that to keep Charlotte Flair happy, but we'll let Drew Gulak go. So you can see where their priorities lie, folks. But they brought him back, so I guess it's all a moot point. According to Fightful, Drew Gulak will be involved on SmackDown tonight, making his return to the company after missing last week's show. He is set to be involved in a battle royale that will take place on tonight's broadcast. What the battle royal is for, nobody knows, but he was involved in the match. So Fightful says this, and I quote, "We're not looking to spoil results from the show for those asking. We can confirm that Drew Gulak participated in a battle royal for this Friday, though." Now, I don't even know what it could possibly be for, to be honest with you guys. We got an IC title match, or tournament matches happening tonight. So I have no idea what the battle royal will be for. So we'll see what happens. Maybe it's a number one contendership to the IC title. Maybe it's a number one contendership for the Universal Championship. I don't know. I don't even know. I hate battle royals. I really do. They're just time fillers. And battle royals really don't mean anything until you get down to the final three, final four in the battle royal anyway. AEW just had a battle royal. I didn't really care for that anyway. And it just proved to everybody that the battle royals really are exactly what I just stated they are. It's just a bunch of garbage until you get to the final three or four. You had Wardlow, you had MJF, you had Jungle Boy and Orange Cassidy in the final four. That's all that really mattered. Why go through all that bullshit just to get to that? Just give me that. It wasn't even fun. So we'll see what happens with this. Hopefully WWE makes it fun tonight on SmackDown. According to the company, or according to Return of Gulak and the Battle Royal that have been leaked, we also know that tonight's SmackDown is going to see the main roster call-up of one Matt Riddle, bro. According to reports, Riddle filmed a backstage vignette earlier in the week that is expected to air on tonight's show. This comes after Riddle made his final NXT appearance, at least for the foreseeable future, on Wednesday night's show, where he was defeated by the man known as Timothy Thatcher in a fight pit match, the first of its kind, in NXT. Now, we'll go over what I think of Matt Riddle. If you guys watch my NXT review, you guys know what I have already said about Matt Riddle. I do not think that this is a good move. I do not think that WWE is going to really use Matt Riddle in the way that we all expect them to use Matt Riddle. Actually, I think you guys know or expect them to bury Matt Riddle in some way, shape, or form. Well, let me rephrase that. I don't think that WWE is going to use Matt Riddle the way that they should be using Matt Riddle. Because we all expect them to treat him like garbage. And more than likely, his first feud, folks, not that I want it, to be honest with you, not that I want it. I want anything but this. I don't even want to see this man on TV because he's complete garbage. Baron Corbin. Baron Corbin's the type of guy that WWE has put into this role of, you're the heel, and you do a admirable job. I don't even say that he does a good job. An admirable job. You get the heat, right? Everybody fucking hates you for all the wrong reasons. So we'll put you in the ring against Matt Riddle, do your job, and get him over. There you go. Baron Corbin is that guy. Baron Corbin is that type of guy on WWE television, but it's almost as if WWE knows what they're doing there without actually saying it. It's like, yeah, Matt Riddle's coming to the main roster, but instead of pitting him against a guy like a Drew Gulak or a guy like a Shinsuke Nakamura or a guy like a Cesaro, right? WWE wants you to have this ruined perception of Matt Riddle because he's going to be in the fucking ring with a feud against Baron Corbin. Now, I love Matt Riddle. I don't want to have these type of ill will feelings towards Matt Riddle. The fact that he's going to SmackDown already gives me ill will feelings about Matt Riddle. Now, there are rumors going around that Bruce specifically asked for Matt Riddle. Paul Heyman wouldn't ask for Matt Riddle. Paul Heyman's a huge fan of Matt Riddle. Matt Riddle on Monday Night Raw against Brock Lesnar is the money match. Now, maybe they do that later on down the line. Maybe they know they have a money match there. We don't know what's happening with that. Maybe they'll use this brand-to-brand invitational and use Matt Riddle somewhere down the road to show up on a Monday Night Raw while being a SmackDown superstar. But I talked about this on Thursday during the NXT review. Matt Riddle going to SmackDown is probably the better option. Because if you send him to Monday Night Raw, more than likely, he'll get buried underneath all the other talent that isn't doing anything over there. You got guys like Cedric Alexander and Ricochet and Humberto Carrillo and all those guys, Buddy Murphy and Andrade and Austin Theory and Garza, all these young guys over there that really aren't setting the world on fire. In fact, they're part of the reason why Monday Night Raw, well, WWE Creative is not even aiding in their efforts here. One of the reasons why the Raw ratings are accumulating some of the worst ratings in the history of the show. Even as of Monday, they accumulated the second worst rating on Monday night. So why are you going to put Matt Riddle over there when they're not even properly using the young guys that they got over there now? So put him on SmackDown. There's plenty of guys that Matt Riddle can feud with. Sheamus, right? Daniel Bryan. Can you imagine Daniel Bryan wins the Intercontinental Championship and then feuds with Matt Riddle over the IC title? Bro, take my phone. Where's my debit card? Take it. Take it. AJ Styles versus Matt Riddle. Can you imagine that? Then I look and think who the Universal Champion is. I'm like, what the fuck? We got Braun Strowman versus Miz and Morrison for the Universal Championship, right? But here I got a guy like Matt Riddle joining the show, and I'm thinking already, man, what a disgrace the Universal Championship title picture is right now. I'm just thinking of a possibility in the future. Can you imagine Matt Riddle versus AJ Styles for the Universal Championship on SmackDown? I mean, it's there. The opponents are there. Cesaro. You got, who else? Jeff Hardy. You got guys like that can feud with Matt Riddle. Should be fun. Should be fun. So putting him on SmackDown, I think, is the best bet. I just hope that they use him correctly. Now, we'll talk more about Matt Riddle and what happened to the decision, or how this decision came about as to why he's moving to SmackDown and why he's leaving NXT. So we'll talk about that a little bit later, because I got major news reporting from The Observer and Dave Meltzer and Brian Alvarez as to why WWE is moving Matt Riddle from NXT to SmackDown on Fox. Jerry Lawler permanently replaced. This is as of this morning, actually. Jerry Lawler permanently replaced on the Raw commentary team. I mean, this is a great move. Nobody wanted Jerry Lawler there to begin with. He's not funny. He is one of those guys that is not really analytical at all. I'm over the fact of like, ha, 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 you made an off-color joke, ha, 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 ha. Yeah, Jerry Lawler is a legend. We need to respect him because he's 70 years old and he's this and that and he's part of the greatest broadcast team ever with Jim Ross. I get it. But that doesn't mean he belongs there now. Now, I got news later in the weekend about Nigel Mcguinness. Nigel Mcguinness was actually furloughed, which I really don't know. Of all the fucking people in that company, you're going to furlough Nigel Mcguinness? I was going to say furlough Nia Jax. Nia Jax should be fucking furloughed times 20, to be honest with you. Jerry Lawler, though, he has been replaced by Samoa Joe permanently, which I don't have a problem with whatsoever. Samoa Joe is great at what he does, no matter what he's doing. In the ring, as a heel, as a babyface, on commentary. This is absolutely a great decision. Now, Lawler has been replaced. Meltzer reports in the latest edition of The Observer that Samoa Joe has permanently replaced Lawler. Now, as of this writing, there's no word yet on what this means for Samoa Joe's in-ring status. Per the report, it's possible that WWE books Joe as a commentator while also doing angles that leads to him wrestling as well. Meltzer notes that even though he isn't cleared for an in-ring return right now, WWE may opt to have Joe continue as a Raw commentator even when he is able to wrestle again, whenever that may be. Meltzer says, and I quote, regarding Samoa Joe, he is still not cleared to return. However, he is also now considered the permanent replacement for Lawler as an announcer. Now, what that means, when he is cleared, is that he may have a role where he announces and then they can shoot angles for him to wrestle using that, since those kind of angles usually do well. Things could also change if later there are depth issues and they feel they need to have him as a full-time wrestler, or he could mix the two, end quote. I don't mind that at all. I really, really, really do not mind that at all. Listen, Monday Night Raw is so stacked with talent. Samoa Joe is great at what he does, but Samoa Joe is injury prone. Samoa Joe has had a little bit of a string of bad luck. Samoa Joe is getting up there in age. Now, that doesn't mean he is not capable of going anymore. He very well could. He probably could out-wrestle 98% of that roster on Monday night. But Samoa Joe in a role as commentator here on Monday night, it gives the Monday Night Raw commentary team a less nauseating feeling. Byron Saxton, listen, you may like Byron Saxton. Byron Saxton may be the coolest motherfucker you can hang out with, have a drink with. Fine. But as a color commentator, sometimes he does an okay job and sometimes he does not. I really don't like Byron Saxton in that role. Byron Saxton gives off the impression of typical WWE robot. And that's why I do not advocate for him to be on Wednesday. When I hear Nigel McGuinness is furloughed and then I got to hear fucking Byron Saxton on Wednesday nights, it gives me just cold chills just thinking about it or hearing him. I can't stand it. It's like you're taking a little bit of Monday night and putting it on NXT on Wednesday night, and that's not what we need on Wednesday night. We need Wednesday night to be fucking Wednesday night. This is why NXT has kind of shifted doing some of the main roster shit. Because they got more main roster influence now, being that they're operating in the same fucking venue. It's ridiculous. Byron Saxton is fine for what he does. Is he someone that I would go out there and handpick for a color commentary position? No. He's a WWE droid. That's what he is. So is Tom Phillips. Tom Phillips is very good at what he does. I just don't think that Tom Phillips comes off in a way that I would like a play-by-play announcer to come off. That's why I enjoy and adore Mauro Ranallo so much. Then we got Samoa Joe. Samoa Joe is perfect in that role because he is an active pro wrestler. Samoa Joe is going to give you what those two guys are not going to give you. Samoa Joe is going to go in-depth, detailed, and get very analytical on what the story of the match is going to be. He's going to call shit, and he's going to come up with shit off the top of the head that you might not be thinking as a casual viewer, and he's going to relay that into the story of the match. He's going to be thinking as a pro wrestler, as what a pro wrestler is going to be doing, or what a pro wrestler might be thinking 2, 3, 4, 5 moves ahead to give you the story. Samoa Joe is at liberty to take the match any way with his words and make it more interesting. That's why I enjoy guys like that and Nigel McGuinness in the position that they're in right now. And I don't mind that. And if you have the added luxury of having Samoa Joe be healthy and using Samoa Joe every now and then with a guy who wants to pick a fight with a guy like Samoa Joe and have him do commentary at the same time, I'm all for that. Monday Night Raw is so stacked right now that you don't even miss Samoa Joe in the ring. They got more problems than fucking getting Samoa Joe back on the show. So if this is what they're going to be doing, you know what? I think it's a thumbs up. I think it's a great decision. As long as Lawler is not there. Lawler was adding nothing to the show. Lawler gave the feeling of this show just refuses to change. Samoa Joe gives the show a youthful feel. And Samoa Joe does his job better than anybody because he's still an active pro wrestler and has the mindset of an active pro wrestler instead of being a 70-year-old aging legend who has not been in the ring in God knows how long, who wants to make an off-color joke about ramen noodles. I think it's great. I'm all for it, and I love hearing Samoa Joe every Monday night on Raw. What I don't like to see or hear is Nia Jax and her theme music. Now, I was going to wait and cover this story. I was going to save this for tomorrow. I was actually going to save this as well for Monday when I actually seen what had happened in this taped episode coming up on Monday for Monday Night Raw. Kairi Sane was busted open by Nia Jax again during the Raw tapings next week. Now, I'm going to throw it out there to everybody listening to me. I'm going to throw it out there to whomever is watching me. Why is this match happening again? Have we not gotten enough of Nia Jax and Kairi Sane? We get it. She's bigger than Kairi Sane, the monster and the small baby face. We get it. We get it. If you didn't give me the fucking match 2 times before this, then maybe this one match as she builds to her match with Asuka would be a little bit more logical. And it would make a little bit more sense. The fact that we've seen this match twice when it didn't need to happen and it was unimportant then now has ruined this match coming up on Monday. Now at this point, you're just being negligent with Kairi Sane and you're doing it because it's a sick fucking joke. No need. No need. Dave Meltzer is reporting that Kairi Sane was busted open in a match with Nia Jax. The match was stopped and Sane was cleaned up. There is nothing to indicate that she has an injury that will keep her out of action, but she has a significant cut coming out of Raw on Monday. Meltzer says this, and I quote, "I'm just informing people of the injury since a lot of stories have gotten out. Probably not a good idea to rush to judgment on blame just yet. Injuries are common in wrestling and part of the game. Without having the incident described, it's too early to point fingers." End quote. Sane had an injury scare a few weeks back when she wrestled Nia Jax. Of course she did. Anybody that's in the ring with Nia Jax should be afraid of their life at this point. Injury scare just a few weeks ago when she wrestled Nia Jax on Raw. There was a spot in the match where Nia Jax dropped her and Sane narrowly missed hitting the back of her head and neck on the bottom turnbuckle. During the latest edition of the Wrestling Observer Radio, Dave Meltzer provided an update on the situation. Meltzer talked to various people in WWE who were at the tapings, with some who saw it and some who didn't, but heard about it. Meltzer stated that those who he's spoken with are not blaming Jax for the injury, despite her history of botching spots. The injury happened when Sane got whipped into the ring steps. One person told Meltzer that she may have stumbled while going into this. She may have stumbled. I mean, if you're there and you've seen it happen, it's either she did it or she didn't. In this case, she may have stumbled, which right then and there is a red flag for bullshit. She may have stumbled while going into the steps as she was trying to hit the steps on her side, which she did. In the process, she hit her head On the steps, another person told Meltzer that Sane was in control of the bump and made it look too good for Nia Jax. If I'm Kairi Sane at that point, I'm not even going to those lengths to make Nia Jax look good because she almost fucking killed her 2 weeks ago. Well, Sane did try to avoid her head. She hit the steps anyways, which caused the cut and resulted in her being knocked silly. Meltzer stated that he was told that Sane was okay after the match, but that doesn't necessarily mean she doesn't have a concussion because she doesn't know as of yet. One person thought that she was knocked out. Meltzer added that Sane didn't ask for time off after the match. It will be interesting to see whether WWE keeps the spot in the broadcast of the match or edits it out, or edited this complete spot out of the match. Now, listen, I'm going to take the high road here, and this is a first for me when it comes to Nia Jax. We don't know. We won't know until we get to this segment on Monday night and see this match actually take place. So I'm going to sit here and tell you, I think it's too early to kind of pin all of the blame on Nia Jax in this instance. That's just the right thing to do. Okay, we don't know how bad it is. We don't know how forceful of a throw or an Irish whip it was into the steps. We don't know if Kairi Sane did really trip up because of the fact that Nia Jax was negligent in the Irish whip. We don't know. We don't know if Kairi Sane just took it upon herself to make it look good and really sell the fact for her friend Asuka in a match with Nia Jax. We don't know. We don't know. All I'm saying is give it the benefit of the doubt. We don't know because we as a fan base have not seen it yet. And that is a first for me when it comes to Nia Jax. Now, we can go on and properly shit on Nia Jax. Nia Jax, I'm telling you right now, as a fan of this product, if I'm in some capacity as far as who I want and who I not want, if I was in that type of capacity in WWE, Nia Jax would have been terminated on Black Wednesday. She is an absolute disgrace to pro wrestling. She really is. I really don't get the appeal of Nia Jax. She's a monster. Great. At one point or another, believe it or not, when Nia Jax debuted with NXT, I was actually saying, you know what, this could actually work out. She could be the second coming of what Awesome Kong was in TNA, or what Karma was about to do before she went away in WWE. Same person. I love the build and the hype for Karma in WWE. Nia Jax could have been that, and she deviated away so far from that at some point, I'm like, okay, this is just garbage. I'm just going to move away from this, and I have no interest in seeing Nia Jax on television. Then she was on Total Divas, and then she proved to everybody that she's nothing more than a diva pretending to be a pro wrestler. And at that point, my respect for Nia Jax went right out the fucking window. Right out the window. And then we seen how bad she is in the ring. She went away because of injury. She comes back. Nothing's changed. It's like she never took a year off. Same music, same look, same moveset, same shitty attitude, same terrible wrestling skills. So why am I going to sit here and fucking praise Nia Jax for coming back? Nia Jax was a fucking detriment to the women's division then, and she's even worse now. She is so far away from where we need to be with the women's division. It's not even funny. She is the absolute opposite of what the women's division needs to be. I don't know how anybody could be a fan of Nia Jax. I don't know how anybody could look at Nia Jax and say, I am a super fan of Nia Jax. You may be a super fan of why she's on Total Divas or what she does on Total Divas, but you cannot be, in any sense of the word, a super fan of what Nia Jax has done on a WWE program or in a WWE ring. I mean, that's just fucking mind-boggling to me. It really is. Nia Jax, at this point, she's becoming such a joke in and around the wrestling community. She's becoming a joke to people watching this show. She's becoming a joke to podcasters and analysts who review this shit on a weekly basis. Everybody says the same thing about Nia Jax. She does nothing. Absolutely nothing. There's no value. There's no emotional value in Nia Jax. At this point, if she keeps it up, she's going to have her own Dark Side of the Ring fucking documentary on how she's fucking murdered this one and that one and botched here and there and injured this one. That's what it's becoming. It's becoming a joke. A goddamn joke. And the only reason why she has a position in the WWE right now is because of who she's related to. That's it. That's the only reason why she has a job. How could you look at what this woman has done and say, you know what, yeah, let's continue to put her on TV. Let's continue to put her in title matches and big feuds. Are you serious? Nia Jax is absolutely terrible at what she does. And she laughs about it. She mocks it on social media. You, as an individual, as a pro wrestler, you're in that ring, and your main job is to protect the other woman that you're in the ring with. That other person is protecting you with their safety and their life. And Nia Jax, when she injures somebody, she goes on social media and she laughs about it to the general public. She makes a mockery of it. She's proud of what she did. Now, who the fuck knows if she's playing up her heel character? I don't think so. At this rate, it's nothing to laugh about. One time, fine. But 6, 7, 8, 9 times. I mean, she's got a casualty list longer than anything that I've ever seen. As far as botches go, give me a break, folks. Nia Jax, when that Performance Center opens, Nia Jax needs a first fucking, a one-way ticket. She needs to be the first online for a one-way ticket to the Performance Center. Hop in your car, go to the Performance Center, and stay there. Find the best coaches you can that are currently employed by the WWE, and do me and everybody else a favor and learn to fucking wrestle. One-way ticket. I don't even want you back. Because whatever you learn there, I'm still not going to fucking want to see because you left such a bad taste in my mouth. One-way ticket. As soon as that motherfucker opens, Nia Jax should be the first fucking person knocking on the door. Hey! Bloom, you there? Fucking ridiculous, man. Unreal. So that's what I'm going to say on that. We're going to give it the benefit of the doubt. And if it happens again on Monday, where Nia Jax is fully to blame, then we'll shit all over her again for a second time. But why this match is... That's my main fucking problem. This match is happening again. You don't realize that you booked the match twice when it meant nothing. Now you're using it in a way to build to her match with Asuka, and now you're giving it to me again for a third time? How does WWE operate this way? It's like a pro wrestling company for dummies. And nobody's going to realize. WWE thinks that we forgot about what she did the first and second time. She almost killed her one of the fucking times that we seen her in the ring with her. Now you're doing it again? At that point, you're just completely being reckless with Kairi Sane. Honestly, at that point, it is just downright recklessness with Kairi Sane. No fucking care for her well-being whatsoever. Putting her in the ring with Nia Jax. So we'll talk about that on Monday, I'm sure. Bray Wyatt and Jojo, they welcomed a second child. Bray Wyatt took to his official Twitter account to announce the birth of his and Jojo's second child. The baby girl's name is Kairi Von Rotunda. Congratulations goes out to both Wyndham Rotunda and Jojo. Jojo took to her Instagram to show off photos of her holding her new baby girl with the caption of Kairi Von Rotunda, I love you. The couple welcomed their son, Nash 6 Rotunda, last May. Jojo's mother, Alexi Offerman, shared a scary story about the birth of Jojo and Wyatt's first child last year. In the Instagram post, Alexi noted how baby Nash was prematurely born as Jojo had a severe case of preeclampsia, and they had to induce labor. It was so bad that Alexi stated that her daughter almost died, which I do remember hearing about. I'm glad that everything worked out the way that it did, but it's crazy, man. If you look back, I don't know when the child was born. I guess that's why Bray Wyatt's been off TV, and that's why he has not really been put in a situation with Braun Strowman on SmackDown for the Universal Championship, because Backlash would have been a perfect time to do it. The name of the show is perfect for what they had going on there, right? So WWE is going the route of giving us a nothing feud with Braun Strowman, The Miz, and John Morrison on SmackDown for the Universal Championship until Bray Wyatt, takes care of his family first, and then he's coming back for the July pay-per-view, which I believe will be Extreme Rules. But it's amazing. If the child was born in May this year, so that means August, September, October, November, December, January, February, March, April, May, 9 months. 9 months. So it's as if his debut as The Fiend, right? His debut as The Fiend, it happened. Finn Balor, SummerSlam, the most talked about fucking successful return in recent memory for a character on WWE television, he probably celebrated in style. Good for him, you know? I can imagine that after that huge just love and outpouring of support for Bray Wyatt to be back on WWE television, he celebrated. Gotta take it easy there, bro. Gotta take it easy there. Bray Wyatt and Seth Rollins having kids. You know, it's crazy, but congratulations to Bray Wyatt and JoJo on their second child. That's some good stuff there, and I'm sure we'll be seeing him back going into the Extreme Rules pay-per-view in July to hopefully take back his Universal Championship that I still, to this very day, do not think that he should have lost. He should not have lost the WWE Universal Championship, and to Goldberg, of all people, do not get me started. Now, we went over the preview for SmackDown coming up tonight. I'm excited about it just mainly because of Matt Riddle and what the finals are going to be for the IC title tournament. I have a good idea of where they are going to go and how I would book it. Hopefully they do book it the same way. I mean, it sets itself up, and we'll go over that in a little bit. But SmackDown's rating was up on Friday for last week's show, May 22nd. Show was terrible, but the show itself, I felt, made everything on the show feel somewhat important, and I appreciated that so much that I actually gave the show a thumbs up. And I'm not looking at this as a turning point. I'm not looking at it as, oh, SmackDown had a good show, they're going to have a good show next week. We may be in a situation where they are forced to start doing things the right way because the ratings are terrible. People are getting this feeling of same old shit with SmackDown. They got to do something different. That's why they're now injecting Matt Riddle into the show. Somebody with that big MMA background, that cool factor. Maybe he gets the demos up. Maybe Matt Riddle, they're going to use him to build those demographics up and get the younger audience excited and maybe bring some of those people who love Matt Riddle to watch the show. Maybe get the ratings up to where they need to be somewhat. I don't know, but changes are happening. And Matt Riddle's not the only one, by the way, who's getting called up. I got exclusive news on that coming up this weekend, so you're going to find out who's coming to SmackDown as well with Matt Riddle. Should be cool. Now, the final number for SmackDown came in 2.044 million viewers on Fox. That was a show last Friday that was headlined by Jeff Hardy and Sheamus, which was okay. I didn't really care for the booking of the match. I think Sheamus would make a great opponent for Matt Riddle right out of the gate. But then you would put Sheamus right back in the same boat that he was in with Jeff Hardy. He's got to win something. Sheamus is the type of guy that has come back from an injury. When everybody thought he was going to call it a career, he looks great. He looks great. Give him a role on this show as a singles guy where he is one of those guys on the show that feels important. He's one of the more legit guys on the brand, and he brings a sense of realism to everything that he does. And he's great on the mic. He's believable. Everything he says, you believe. WWE has not pushed a guy like that outside of the norm, you know? I wish that they would do something with him, and this could have been the opportunity to do that, but they dropped the ball again by having Jeff Hardy beat him in this match. And I said it, and I'm going to go over it again. Jeff Hardy in the IC title tournament doesn't really make sense to me. Him winning this match doesn't make sense to me. He's coming back for one final run. You're not going to come back for one final run for the IC title. You're going to come back and make it one final run for the Universal Championship. So having him beat Sheamus here kind of negates everything you did with Sheamus leading up to this match. You built him up for Jeff Hardy to ultimately lose to Daniel Bryan tonight. Doesn't make sense. To me, anyway. Doesn't make sense. Now, the final number is up from the overnight viewership that was released on Saturday morning, which was an average of 2.040 million viewers. The number is also slightly up from last week's final SmackDown viewership of 2.042 million viewers for the post-Money in the Bank show. No change. The show largely remains terrible. The show largely remains the same. Nobody's watching it. And it's a shame. People poke fun at NXT and AEW. Nobody's watching during this stay at home. They should have more eyes on the product now than ever before. Clearly, nobody's watching. And nobody's watching because people have come to know that the show is just not good. It's the worst wrestling show in the industry right now. And there is no industry outside of AEW and WWE. And you're the worst wrestling show on television currently and have been for a very long time. They refuse to change. Friday SmackDown drew a 0.5 rating in the 18 to 49 demo, 0.7 in the 25 to 54. and a 0.3 rating in the 18 to 34. Last week drew a 0.5, 0.7, so those two demographics stay the same. But in the 18 to 34 demo, they were actually up last week. This week, they were down. So, not sure if that means anything, but they were down in one of the demographics. SmackDown ranked number 1 in the ratings in the key demographic for 18 to 49 on network TV. SmackDown also ranked number 1 in the 18 to 34 demo this week, tied for number 1 in the 25 to 54 demo. SmackDown came in at number 8 for the night in viewership on network TV for the 4th week in a row, behind Blue Bloods, MacGyver, Magnum P.I., Dateline Classic 2020, Disney Family Sing-Along. Disney Family Sing-Along, folks. That's what's beating SmackDown on Friday. I don't know what that means for Braun Strowman and his Universal title run and Celebrity Escape. Blue Bloods topped the night on network TV in viewership this week with 4.463 million viewers. The Double or Nothing special, if you guys watched that, the preview for the special that aired on Friday night at 10 p.m. on TNT, drew 344,000 viewers, ranked 51 on the cable top 150 with a 0.110 rating in the key 18 to 49 demographics. To compare, TNT's AEW Revolution preview special that aired back in February drew 383,000 viewers and ranked 61 on the cable 150 with a 0.14 rating in the key demographic. So that is that. What happened on Friday Night SmackDown, folks? They started the show off with Braun Strowman and The Miz. If there is any time you want to go see what Flavortown USA is doing over on Food Network, that is the ample time to go and do it. I will take tickets for 4, me and my entire family, out to Flavortown USA, please. Guy Fieri is a beast. Nobody gives a shit about this feud. John Morrison, The Miz, the Universal Championship. I mentioned this on Friday. I'm going to briefly mention it here again here. Now we know why. I guess we can kind of piece the puzzle together as to why Braun Strowman's in this nothing feud with Miz and Morrison. JoJo and Bray Wyatt just had a kid, so he's home doing family stuff, and they need to keep Braun Strowman on TV, moving along until Bray Wyatt comes back on TV. I get it. But does the Universal Championship really need to be defended on pay-per-view? Does it? Is it going to hurt the championship and Braun Strowman by not appearing on pay-per-view? It seems to me like you're doing more harm than good by having him in a title match of this magnitude in this aspect than if you were to keep him off of TV. I don't understand it. What are you doing here? Braun Strowman, believe it or not, once upon a time, ran through the entire tag team division by himself. The Revival mentioned this on Talk is Jericho. When you got Braun Strowman running through all of these tag teams in your division, how do you think that's going to make the tag team division and the tag team championships look in the end? It's not going to make them look very good at all. And here they are kind of doing the same thing. Does anybody expect Miz and Morrison to become dual Universal Champion? I mean, it's blatant stupidity. It's like you're asking me to invest in garbage. I don't understand you. You don't believe that people are going to be invested in this. You can't. Now, Braun Strowman is the Universal Champion. Miz and Morrison, you're actively destroying his reign. Hey, you're pretty much telling me that Braun Strowman is a makeshift fucking just plugged in there champion. You got no plans for him. At this point, like I said, I would keep him off of TV. It would actually do him better than, having him in this match. Miz and Morrison are one of your top tag teams in the division. Don't you think it's going to harm them and how they are looked upon as losers when they go into this match and they can't beat Braun Strowman 2-on-1? And don't tell me that having Braun Strowman beat two guys of this magnitude is going to help him become even more of a monster. Give me a break. In no way, shape, or form is this going to help Braun Strowman out in any sense of the word. Keep him off of television if you have nothing substantial for him to do. This was supposed to be Otis picking Braun as a partner, not leading to a Miz and Morrison feud with Braun Strowman. I cannot even begin to tell you. Bathroom break at Backlash? You found it. AJ Styles versus Shinsuke Nakamura, Intercontinental Championship Tournament. Great TV match. No more, no less. Great TV match. Actually better than their WrestleMania match, to be honest with you, for the WWE Championship. AJ Styles the right guy to win. They talked about, and we'll talk about it going on into the show, how AJ was traded what the draft considerations really do mean, what plans they had for AJ before he was even moved to SmackDown, why they moved him to SmackDown. I got all that for you coming up. But this was a very good TV match for what it was, and the right choice. The right winner came out of this one. AJ, Elias, don't really care for it. You might as well just plug AJ into the finals at this juncture. But if there's one guy that Elias could really show up against in this company and really show us what he's made of, it's AJ Styles. So hopefully he brings a good match out of Elias. I really hope so. Elias could turn some heads and say, you know what, he's not that bad. But then we'll all say, man, AJ is really that good to bring a guy who really doesn't know much of anything in Elias to a good match. But AJ's going to win this thing. He's going to be in the finals, no question. Bayley versus Charlotte Flair, good match. They work very good together. I don't really care for Charlotte on TV. It needs to come to an end. They need to eat their losses. WWE needs to own up that they fucked up by having Charlotte win the NXT Championship. It's an absolute disgrace. It's not doing anything for the shows. It's actually killing the vibe of the shows every single Monday, Wednesday, and Friday by having her be overexposed. But Bayley has come into this heel role, and I'm actually enjoying it more now than I ever did. She's playing it well. She's speaking better mic skills. She's always been great in the ring. And she works well with Charlotte. And the fact of the matter is, WWE actually did something very good here. They had Bayley keep Sasha in the back, and she won on her own. Cheating, yes, but I look at it as Charlotte Flair is the daughter of Ric Flair, who is a notorious cheater. So I'm just going to use what you learned against you. And she did it. I love it. And she won on her own without Sasha being involved. So that was a good match on Friday. Dolph Ziggler and Sonya Deville versus Otis and Mandy. I'm all over this, really. At this point, I'm just beginning to feel like Otis is going to cash in and then drop it. And because of Mandy Rose, he's going to fail a cash in. I'm still asking where Tucker is. Bruce, where's Tucker? Never mind Ali anymore, Bruce. Where's Tucker, Bruce? That's what I want to know. Hopefully this leads to Otis getting Tucker back on TV. I really do feel like this is just the flavor of the month for WWE with Otis. Listen, I love Otis. I think Otis is great. I've loved Otis and Heavy Machinery and Tucker back down in NXT. I was looking forward to them really being a solid tag team act, but you have no tag team acts on SmackDown. None. So why are you going to actively take Otis away from Tucker and make your division even worse by not having them as a tag team? He doesn't look like a big singles main event guy. He doesn't look like a guy that's going to be a WWE champion. But here they are pushing him. And I appreciate what Otis has done. He's one of those guys that has gone against the machine and has gotten himself over through his own brand of charisma. He's genuine. This is Otis. This is what Otis, I believe, is like away from the character. But I don't believe that WWE is going to push him to the moon and become a WWE champion. He doesn't look like that type of guy. Sometimes you could look at somebody and say, he is it. And sometimes you could look at somebody, whether it's a he or a she, and say, they don't have it. They don't have it. Otis doesn't have it to be the champion. Otis has it, but it's not it enough to be world champion, main event WWE caliber superstar. And I don't want to sit here and put a ceiling on him, but I'm going to because that's just the way it is. That's the way it is. And people are rejoicing, oh, I like this decision. Oh, I like it. I like it. I think they could have done a better job by giving somebody else the Money in the Bank briefcase and just kind of move on from this Otis situation. And Vince McMahon is booking it, so you know right then and there that it's not going to end very pretty here for Otis. Jeff Hardy and Sheamus. By the way, I've enjoyed what Mandy and Sonya have done on SmackDown. I think Sonya is one of those women that deserve the push. You know, she's gotten better. We've seen her through the years get better. Mandy has gotten better. I had a very bad perception of Mandy Rose when she came in. I thought she was going to be the next Eva Marie. She's obviously proved everybody wrong with that. Sonya, she looks great. She does. Sonya looks great. The promos have gotten better. She's very good in the ring. She looks great next to Dolph Ziggler. I think they make a great 1-2 combination. I think they've done very well by, having Bobby Roode not be able to make the shows. They've done well by Dolph Ziggler to make him still look kind of cool, and they made Sonya look cool standing next to Dolph. So I'm liking the pairing. I don't know where they go from here, but like I said, I feel like everybody's going to be in on it when Otis loses that Money in the Bank briefcase. And then we got Sheamus and Jeff Hardy for the IC title tournament main event. I didn't like it. I told you early on. I told you on Friday. I said it here just briefly before. Jeff Hardy winning doesn't really make sense to me. You're going to come back and make one final push for the IC title, or you're going to come back and make one big push for the WWE Universal Championship. They could have had him in a middle of the road feud, get him, some in-ring action, get his feet wet. And here they are. They built Sheamus up as this big, tough, rough and tough guy. He's not going to take any bullshit. He's bullying Michael Cole on SmackDown, and then they have him lose to Jeff Hardy. For what? What did you do? Everything that you did and everything that you showed us on TV has been wasted because you put Jeff Hardy in a tournament match now against Daniel Bryan that inevitably he's going to lose. It's going to be a great match. I'm excited about it. I'm excited to see what these two guys do. But at the end of the day, Jeff Hardy should have lost to Sheamus, and it should have been Daniel Bryan and Sheamus. The story was there as well for Daniel Bryan and Sheamus to kind of build off their past history. I don't know. That's just the way I see it. What I'm thinking about for the tournament, AJ wins tonight, Daniel Bryan wins. You give that match, those guys, you give that match an entire hour. Give them most of a second hour on SmackDown next week. AJ Styles loses. AJ Styles can take a loss. Daniel Bryan, to me, needs to be the IC champion. Why? Daniel Bryan beats AJ in a classic. Daniel Bryan is the IC champion, and then Sami Zayn comes back. Sami Zayn comes back with the old Intercontinental Championship. How he got it, I don't know. Come up with a way. He could have bought a replica on WWE Shop, have him be real petty about it, right? I would even throw that in there. I'm walking around this company as your IC champion. I was stripped wrongfully. I never lost it. You never beat me. I beat you at WrestleMania. Have him come back and say, I bought a fucking replica on WWE Shop. There's no communication between me and the company that wrongfully fucking stripped me of the title. Daniel Bryan standing there with the new IC title. And you build this feud up until SummerSlam. And you build it to SummerSlam. And you make it seem like it's a play on the 1994 WWE Intercontinental Championship scenario. Remember when Shawn Michaels came back in 1993 and teamed with the Knights at Survivor Series? And he teamed with the Knights against the Hart family. He came back as the Intercontinental Champion. He was still the Intercontinental Champion. Razor Ramon just beat the model Rick Martel on a Monday Night Raw to become the new Intercontinental Champion, but they played a storyline where Shawn Michaels never lost that title. He had to take a 30-day suspension for something drug-related, and they stripped him of the title. He came back as the uncrowned Intercontinental Champion. Never lost the fucking title, right? So, make it a play on that. Sami Zayn playing the role of Shawn Michaels and Daniel Bryan playing the role of Razor Ramon in 1994, which led to their monumental epic ladder match at WrestleMania 10 in Madison Square Garden. Why that's not on a fucking shirt, I don't know. I don't know why Bret Hart and Owen Hart isn't on a shirt from that WrestleMania. Those are two of the greatest matches in WWE history that happened on the same show. Unbelievable, man. But that's the way I would do it. Bryan wins. Sami Zayn comes back. Champion versus champion. It books itself, folks. Don't stress too hard about giving us storylines. They're pretty much writing themselves for you. That's why I don't get it. Why Vince McMahon waited so long to have fans in attendance? As noted earlier, WWE will have fans in attendance for tonight's SmackDown. There were fans in attendance, fans, and I use that word loosely, fans, NXT developmental talent. On Monday, on Wednesday, and on Friday, we will see them. Now, the fans that will be in attendance will be from NXT, WWE developmental. They will be there to add noise to the shows, if you could even call it that, similar to what AEW does for their weekly Dynamite shows during the pandemic. Now, sources have said that the reason why WWE waited so long to make the decision was that Vince McMahon felt it would be a bad look on the company to have so many people seated in the Performance Center during a time when social distancing is being pushed by health experts. AEW had been able to get away with using wrestlers and staff at Daly's place because everyone gets tested for CV-19 since Jacksonville, Florida has plenty of tests available for anyone in the city who needs them. The other advantage that AEW has is Daly's place is open-air venue, and the Performance Center is a small building where the virus can spread easily. The word going around the PC is that the changes being made this week will be the new normal. I hate that saying. I hate that quote, the new normal. The new normal, folks. Yes, please, believe everything the TV box tells you. Until they are allowed to bring fans back, Vince McMahon is still hoping to have fans back in time for SummerSlam. However, the show is unlikely to take place in Boston, Massachusetts, as originally scheduled. Now, I get it. WWE didn't want to have so many people seated in the Performance Center when social distancing was being pushed by health experts. Listen, I get where they're coming from, But that didn't stop WWE from going to the city of Orlando and the governor and all these government officials in Florida. That didn't stop them from going to them and getting them, the government in Florida, government officials in Florida, to deem WWE an essential business. So you went out of your way to deem yourself an essential business, but you don't want to take the proper steps to make your show an essential wrestling show to the best of your ability during the pandemic. You're just going to follow the same old fucking rinse and repeat garbage that you've been giving us because you're afraid of some fucking social distancing guideline. Meanwhile, AEW has been doing it, and they've been following the CDC guidelines, and they've been having some damn good shows. So why are you so afraid of doing the right thing as long as you're within the guidelines? Oh, that's right. You waited so long because AEW got you beat. WWE waited so long because they didn't want to make it seem like AEW had this great idea. They're doing it right. They got the roster seated on both sides of the open-air venue at Daly's Place. You got the heels on one side. You got the baby faces on the other. WWE didn't want to show everybody how weak and inferior they are because they followed AEW steps in making a good wrestling show. No, we can't do that. We can't make it seem like we're copying AEW because we are the leaders in sports entertainment. Bullshit. If you believe this fucking rubbish, folks, if you believe this garbage, you are just as bad as the people who work for the WWE. They didn't want to have so many people seated inside the Performance Center. You mean to tell me that when the guidelines were 50 people, 25 people, you couldn't have somebody there? Somebody! To give these shows life. Now, we'll just go and make the worst shows that WWE has ever put on. You know how terrible it is when I get to hear Michael Cole and Corey Graves echoing throughout the Performance Center? Watching a match, hearing their voices back on the replay, it gives me fucking cold chills, bro. It makes my skin crawl. I hate it. So that's why WWE has not done this sooner. Now they're pushing it, and they're doing it because things are easing up. And instead of actually doing it when they could have weeks ago, WWE has opted to now kind of change. And even now that they're changing and doing things that they should have did months ago, they still don't do it right. Vince didn't want WWE to look too indie with NXT talent in attendance. During PW Insider Elite, it was noted that WWE didn't want to present an indie look to their shows. Instead, they decided to hold the production in an empty building. One person described it as looking too indie to me. Like it would just look like there's people milling about, and it wouldn't look like the sleek presentation that WWE prefers to have. End quote. So you mean to tell me that you're worried about looking too indie? You're worried about looking too indie, and it's not with the standard of what WWE has as far as sleek presentation. Motherfucker, you're working out of a goddamn fucking storage building. You're working out of a fucking garage inside the Performance Center that looks all pretty because you put multi-million dollars into it. And you're worried about looking too fucking indie? Are you fucking serious? Now, instead of doing what is right for the shows, you don't want to do what's right because it looks too indie. And then this is what we get when we got a 74-year-old fucking senile old man running the show. You're operating out of WWE's gym, and you're worried about looking too indie. In fact, if the shows looked a little bit more gritty, then they might be a little bit better. You took your sleek WWE production and you tried to pretty up the Performance Center, and it comes off forced. It really does. You don't need to have the over-the-top fucking sleek production that WWE has when things are normal. We're in the middle of a fucking pandemic. People would understand. This was your opportunity to give us a different presentation and run with the fucking current situation. And WWE felt like they had to fight the current situation and do what they always do. Fucking ruin everything and make everything seem so produced and fucking planned. and formulaic and unfun and uncool. You're working out of a fucking gym. WWE and a lot of people, you got some fucking morons on social media. Oh, AEW didn't need to take the pot shots over at WWE for the plexiglass. It looks fucking ridiculous. If you show up to my wedding wearing a fucking pimp outfit, I'm gonna call you a fucking moron. You look ridiculous. It's exactly what WWE did. They made themselves look ridiculous. Am I watching a wrestling show or am I watching a fucking hockey game? The wrestlers are around the ring, and WWE's put up plexiglass hockey boards, which is something that AEW has not done. Took a couple of months for WWE to figure out how to do this and bring a live crowd in the way that AEW has, and Vince McMahon has fucking gone his own way. He steered off the fucking path to right and fucking steered off into the obvious direction of wrong like he's so used to taking. And WWE has made it look uncool. Too indie. It looks too indie. You got NXT talent inside the fucking gym of WWE and you're worried about being too fucking indie. Then the plexiglass. What does the plexiglass do? What does it do? It makes the overall presentation look fucking ridiculous. Are you worried about something in specific? I don't know. I don't know what you're worried about. AEW has gotten away with no fucking plexiglass. It looks fucking great. You got heels on one side, you got baby faces on the other. It looks real. You got fans in the stands following CDC guidelines. And here WWE is struggling to fucking find seats for these goddamn people while they stand around during an 11-hour goddamn taping. In and out, they gotta go. Food breaks, in and out. Gotta go walk the dog. I gotta go take a shit. I gotta go take a piss. I gotta go get a bottle of water from Titus Catering. I gotta go scratch my balls in the fucking corner because I don't want to scratch my balls on TV. You fucking serious? This is what WWE does, folks. Uncool. It's uncool. Plexiglass. What's the reason for the plexiglass? Do you know how ridiculous that looks on TV? You know that's actually suppressing the sound as well, because the sound of the NXT performers there, it's bouncing off the fucking plexiglass. Where's it going? It's going right back into the fucking back of the building instead of going up or towards the ring. The sound is bouncing off the fucking plexiglass and it's bouncing back at them. Fucking ridiculous. I'm like, what is going on here? What is going on here? And then WWE on Raw. Raw was the first time we see it because it was being reported by all these geeks in the community. WWE's going to have NXT talent and the fans. I'm like, all right, fine, great. Let's see how they do this. Let's see how they fuck this up. And what does WWE do? It's almost as if they got like a maestro in the orchestra, right? Just envision a maestro at the orchestra, waving his fucking baton, doing his thing, right? And that's exactly what they're doing. WWE's the maestro, and they tell all these poor saps that got to be sitting there for 9, 6, 7, whatever, fucking 10 hours at a time watching these shows. You know? Cheer. Boo. Cheer for Charlotte. Be quiet. Cheer for the heel. It's like, can you just have them go in there and, I don't know, bring their real-life camaraderie with their fucking colleagues into the venue while they watch a WWE main roster show and, I don't know, act genuine? It seemed like it was so forced. It seems like they were given cues on when to cheer, how low to cheer, how loud to be, who to cheer for, when to shut up. It didn't come off good at all. In fact, the fact that they were sitting there, you could have seen that some of them weren't as loud as they should have been because they were standing the entire fucking time. Now, why there weren't chairs? I don't know. AEW is sane enough to give their fucking talent chairs. Who wants to stand for 3 hours, let alone 3 hours, at a fucking Monday Night Raw taping, where you have to sit through one taping and then another taping and then 205 Live and then main event and then Superstars? Man, oh man, do you hate your fucking people? Did you do it because they're paying their dues? Or did you do it because it's a better presentation for you on TV without really giving a shit about how they're feeling? WWE, man, I'm telling you. Fucked up in the head. They really are. At no point in time have I've ever lied to you guys about what I see on TV. You might not agree with what I see. You might not agree with what I say, but man, oh man, in every instance, in everything that I do, I try to find the good. I really do. Yes, this is something that they should have done. Yes, it brings more life than normal to the shows, but there's always, where there's good, there's bad. There's never good and not bad. So for people telling me that I'm complaining about something that obviously needed to happen, it's making the shows better. WWE is actively taking the steps to make the shows better. Everything that I'm telling you, did you notice? Did you think about? Did you maybe piece together while you were watching these shows on Monday and Wednesday? And if you didn't, that's why I'm here. Details on WWE using NXT talents as fans' plans moving forward. PW Insider reported some additional details about this decision. The Raw episodes were taped Friday Night SmackDown, 205 Live, and main event. These tapings ran somewhere in the area of 9 to 10 hours total. With the talent standing around all day, it was a long day for all involved. However, WWE did take short breaks for everyone to sit down in between matches, with chairs being brought out and then taken out for the talent, and they spent the majority of the day standing. Oh, so they did bring chairs out for them to sit and rest, but then WWE took the chairs away because they had to go back to making a better presentation on TV. Give me a break. So WWE, they want the plexiglass, and then if they seat them behind the plexiglass, then you can't even see if anybody's there. So instead, they put the plexiglass and then up for them to stand. Why not have just chairs and no plexiglass? I don't see the idea about the plexiglass outside the fact of that they're inside and Daly's place is outside. But at that point, I still don't even understand what the fucking reason is for the plexiglass. Just a terrible presentation. It comes off looking amateur on TV. It's like a fucking prison on TV during a wrestling show. Now, the report noted how the situation was described as an exhausting process for all those wrestlers who are trying to create energy all day. There you go, WWE. Good on you, bro. At the same time, some trainees were there and they were happy to be there. And since they haven't been able to do anything related to WWE over the last several weeks, they were definitely happy to be there. Some talent has not been inside the Performance Center since it closed down due to the ongoing situation. WWE will be taping Raw, SmackDown, 205 Live and main event on Tuesday. That happened this week. Then on Wednesday, WWE will tape several hours of NXT that will take them all the way into NXT TakeOver in your house. I believe as of yesterday, Cole and Dream was filmed on its own at Full Sail University in a backlot at Full Sail University. It's going to be given, I believe, a cinematic type treatment away from the particular setting inside Full Sail. So we'll see what happens with that. That's pretty exciting. As noted, the idea is to have the wrestlers around the ring in order to bring more of the traditional live event experiences to the shows. The talent had their temperature checked prior to getting into the building and then checked later on in the day. Per the reports, WWE discussed having the plexiglass set up around the ring as something that will become a normal thing during the pandemic. When WWE is able to run live events again, they could use the plexiglass as a way to keep an invisible barrier between the fans and wrestlers. Why? I don't know. Everybody comes out and says, oh, we miss the fans. The fans are the lifeblood. And then you want to hide them behind a fucking plexiglass. And that's exactly what I want to see when we return to normal, everyday fucking pro wrestling in front of live audience. I want to see a fucking plexiglass where I can't see the people that we all missed all these months. Fucking ridiculous. Jesus Christ. Anyway, man, moving away from all of this shit. Matt Riddle to the main roster. Why is it happening? Why is it happening? PW Insider reports that Matt Riddle is headed to the SmackDown brand. Good for Bruce, not good for Mr. Matthew Riddle. Is Bruce going to introduce himself to Matt Riddle as, I love you in NXT? Can't wait to devour him on fucking SmackDown. It was noted that WWE has been planning to move him up to the main roster since before WrestleMania 36 in April. However, WWE officials put those plans on hold after the event, obviously. WWE then decided to go forward with its plans for Riddle several weeks ago. Thus, Riddle is scheduled to finish up with NXT as he did with his match with Timothy Thatcher on Wednesday. On Wednesday, also, Meltzer discussed this, and he discussed Riddle's call-up to the main roster, as noted that money is the likely issue. The main roster move would mean that he would get paid more, and right now they want to keep him happy so he can sign a new deal and keep him away from other companies. There you go, folks. There you go. They want to keep him happy. They want to sign him to a new deal. They want to make an effort to keep him happy. This actually may be a good thing. This may be a good thing. I said this on Thursday. You're going to fucking bring Matt Riddle up and treat him like some fucking stoner geek on Friday night? Not going to go anywhere. You're going to drive this guy away faster than you drove the fucking fans watching this show to begin with. So this may be a good thing for Matt Riddle. The fact that they are bringing him up, they want to use him, they want to pay him. If they do anything wrong, he's gone. I don't look at Matt Riddle as the type of guy that's going to take a lot of bullshit from these fucking people. If he wants to go wrestle somewhere else, he's going to say, fuck you, I'm going somewhere else. The main roster move would likely mean he would get paid. They want to keep him happy so he can sign a new deal, so they keep him away from Ring of Honor, New Japan, and AEW. New Japan, probably, yeah, but WWE doesn't care who they let go, right? They don't care. Nobody is going to make a difference to AEW, though, right? Clearly, bullshit. Clearly bullshit. So a guy like Rusev, not going to make much of a difference, but we want to keep Matt Riddle. We want to keep Matt Riddle. Here's a reality check for you guys. Nobody is a draw. Nobody is a draw. Matt Riddle might be a bigger name than Rusev right now, but that doesn't mean Matt Riddle is going to draw more than a Rusev, or Rusev's going to draw more than Matt Riddle, or an Adam Cole is going to draw more than a Matt Riddle or Rusev or anybody else that goes over to AEW. I get it. You want to keep those guys away because they are valuable to you, but nobody is a draw. Here's a fucking another reality check. Why don't you start booking your fucking talent right, and maybe they won't have any fucking desire to go sign anywhere else. How about that? You're going to give this guy money. Great. It's great. It's a cherry on top of the cake. What are you going to do to make me happy outside the fucking paycheck you're paying me? I could take your money, but I also want to be happy here, not here. So they want to keep him away from other companies. New Japan had an interest in Riddle a couple years ago before he even signed with the WWE. Meltzer said the following about Matt Riddle on Wrestling Observer. He says this: they had to bring him up because he would have been able to go anywhere he wanted, and there's companies, AEW, spending money for talent that they want. New Japan, and I stress that they want. They're going to sign everybody. They're going to want talent. They're going to pay them. New Japan, when they are going to get going, they'll be looking at new guys. Ring of Honor has spent money on key guys, and Riddle would be. If Ring of Honor is going to spend some money, they spent money for Bandito. They'll certainly be spending big money for Matt Riddle if and when he is a free agent. He had a lot of places where he could have made a lot of money, more than NXT, pretty much everywhere. So they had to bring him up. The reality is that they had to bring him to the main roster. That's what he said on Wrestling Observer. Riddle is slated to take part in the cage match, which we've seen on Wednesday. He will show up on Friday. That was actually refereed by Kurt Angle on Wednesday night during NXT. There was some speculation before even all of this talk about him going to Friday. Why is he going to Friday and why is he not going to Monday? There was some speculation as to why Riddle is being moved to SmackDown and not to Monday Night Raw, and it could be due to the previous heat with WWE's own Brock Lesnar. Now, if you're not familiar with Matt Riddle, just know that he's got a bit of a record when it comes to upsetting main roster talent. I know, I'm in the same boat as him. Even though I don't work for the company, I'm in the same boat as him. Most notably, Bill Goldberg and Brock Lesnar. Meltzer is speculating that the reason Riddle is being moved to SmackDown is so the company can avoid further altercations between Riddle and Brock Lesnar. Both are former UFC stars, and many have labeled the match between them as a dream match, but it seems WWE is keen on avoiding any further issues. Whether this would be Riddle's final NXT match on Wednesday, that remains to be seen. He could always work future shows or have a plan for him in NXT, and he can always show back up there. We don't know. We don't know if he's going to debut in a vignette on Friday and then show up on Wednesday and say goodbye. I don't know what's going to happen. But this contest comes after a storyline where they had him drop the NXT Tag Team Championships to Imperium. Timothy Thatcher turned on him. Thatcher walked out on Riddle during the match, and they had a singles match later that night. So that was that. Listen, I'm going to take it as it comes. I really am. I don't have any faith in these people. You should not have any faith in these people, especially on SmackDown. But if they're looking to pay Matt Riddle more, and they're looking to bring him up to the main roster to get him a bigger paycheck, and they're looking to bring him up and keep him away from an AEW or a Ring of Honor or a New Japan, then that must mean at least they have something planned for this guy, and they're going to treat him and keep the integrity of why we love Matt Riddle intact on SmackDown. That's all I will say. You will know when, because it's going to happen. You will know when and if they ruin this guy's character. When and if they ruin this guy's appeal. You will know. but I'm going to give them a small benefit of the doubt. Not everybody up from NXT makes it on the main roster. It is very difficult for me to sit here and tell you Matt Riddle's not going to make it on the main roster. They got a license to print money with this guy. T-shirts, he's got the ability to be the most popular guy on the entire roster. He is what they are looking for as far as a key demographic goes on this show. When you want a mass appeal for a younger audience on Friday night, Matt Riddle is that guy. I'm sorry. You might not like him. You might be his biggest fan. The reason why they're bringing him up is all the reasons I mentioned, but he is going to help SmackDown. And more so than he would be on Monday night. Because Monday Night Raw doesn't need a guy like Matt Riddle. They got a ton of Matt Riddles over there that they're not currently using. So why not put him on SmackDown, keep him away from Brock Lesnar, get that match and the appeal of that match out of eyesight from people, and when it happens, and it's going to happen, you're not going to have Brock Lesnar and Matt Riddle on the main roster and then not visit that match when everybody knows it's a money-making match. They're going to do it. They're going to keep it away from you for the time being, and they're going to visit it when the time is right. There's a time and a place for everything right now. Is not that time and place. Let's get Riddle on SmackDown and get his feet wet. He's got a ton of programs to work over there, and we'll see how he comes across on Friday night instead of on Wednesday. And I honestly think with Triple H, some people say Triple H doesn't have that much power in WWE. Triple H has been a father figure to all these guys. Triple H is the one who brought Matt Riddle in the first place, amongst all the people saying that we shouldn't bring this guy in due to his past history, his drug abuse, and this and that, the type of guy that he is. I don't think Triple H is going to sit quietly while Matt Riddle is the type of guy that he's molded in NXT for the time that he's been down there and have him waste away on Friday night. He will say something. That's the type of guy that I do think Triple H will say something about, even though his word might not hold any weight backstage, as I previously reported a couple of weeks ago. So we'll see what happens, man. Again, this is the right decision for them. I think Friday night is the best bet for Matt Riddle, just based on the fact that Monday Night Raw. Anybody could say Brock Lesnar is the reason why he's not going to Monday Night Raw, but Brock Lesnar's not going to come back until there are fans in attendance. He's not going to show up and work an empty arena show. He's not. He's going to sit at home. Call me when you need me. Call me when things are back to normal. So anybody could say that. A fucking idiot with 2 subscribers on YouTube and has a fucking bullshit podcast that nobody gives a shit about. He could go out there and give that fucking analytical take. It's not it. It's not it. Lesnar's not even in the locker room. So Matt Riddle not going to Monday Night Raw is the simple fact of the matter that Monday Night Raw doesn't need Matt Riddle. Again, you got fucking 8 or 9 Matt Riddles over there that you're not even using properly. Put him on SmackDown and let him get his feet wet with guys like Styles and Bryan and Sheamus and Nakamura and Cesaro. Plenty in the pool for Matt Riddle to play with. The original planned match. This is an exclusive, folks. An exclusive. If I had some sound effect on my board, I'd do, one of them sound effects from the game shows. I don't have anything queued up here. Maybe I'll find something else. I don't know. At WrestleMania 36, many people expected Sasha Banks and Bayley to have a one-on-one match on pay-per-view for the Women's Championship on SmackDown. However, the match did not take place while the pair did share the ring. It was in a fatal 5-way elimination match. Now, I like that because of the interactions between Sasha and Bayley and how they booked Bayley in that match, how they booked Sasha to take the loser's right. The loser's right from Lacey Evans, and how Bayley just sat there and did not break up the pin. Sasha kind of threw herself in the way of the loser's right to save Bayley, but Bayley didn't do anything to help Sasha and break up that pinfall. So I love that. I thought that was great storytelling there. Now, in the following days, many speculated, I did, that Sasha would be in the Money in the Bank ladder match, win the Money in the Bank ladder match, and cash in on her best friend in several months' time. However, that did not happen. Asuka won the briefcase. Now, despite the match not happening yet, sources in the community have said that over the last few months, and this is coming from Wrestle Talk, the Wrestle Geeks themselves, sources have said that the past few months, WWE has been planning on having Banks and Bayley go one-on-one at SummerSlam in August. Now, Wrestle Talk has learned that WWE wants to extend the feud and sees more potential in drawing it out as opposed to rushing it. Sounds more to me that WWE does not want the match to go on as planned, and they want to take the title off of Bayley and put it on Lacey Evans. That's exactly what that tells me. Or better yet, how about we put it on Charlotte? Why don't we give Charlotte all the fucking titles? Now, Wrestle Talk, I was going to say Wrestle Zone, Wrestle Talk, they've also been told that part of the reason for delaying the Banks and Bayley matches because of the location that SummerSlam was set to take place. Before the CV19, SummerSlam was slated for Boston, where Banks grew up and began wrestling. WWE thought that having Banks versus Bayley in Boston would have generated the best reaction for Sasha, who would have been the face in that match. I get it. Perfect. I get it. WWE making right decisions here? Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. It is unclear whether SummerSlam will take place in Boston due to the CV, or if WWE is going to move it to another state. They may be more willing to allow a live crowd. It is believed that Vince McMahon is determined to have a live crowd for the marquee show, but Boston has made it clear that this won't be possible until September at the very earliest. There were even rumors that WWE could extend SummerSlam into August and have it take place in August so that they can, in September, move it from August to September, for September to happen so that they can actually still have it in Boston. Now, whether this means WWE changes their plans remains to be seen. Wrestle Talk's sources have said that while the match isn't completely off the table right now, the company is considering other options for SmackDown and the Women's Championship at the show. There's not much going on with SmackDown, folks. There really isn't. You gave us Tamina. Nobody gives a shit about... Tamina was off television. Not Tamina is off television. You used her for whatever fucking reason. Now she's off TV, right? You got Tamina and used her, and now goodbye. Now back to catering for another 6 or 7 years until she retires. You got Tamina, you got Lacey, you got Dana Brooke, you got Carmella, you got Sasha. That's about it. Now, I don't understand. I really don't understand why WWE is so light on... You got Naomi. How about we give Naomi a shot? You know? Why don't we give Naomi a shot? Now, I don't think she should win the Women's Championship because the Women's Championship right now is for Sasha and Bayley. But something needs to be done here in the interim. If you're going to wait on this match, then something needs to be done in the interim. I don't give a shit what WWE does right here, but the main thing right now that you're looking at is keeping that title on Bayley. I don't give a shit who she has to go through. It could be Naomi, it could be Dana Brooke. Nobody wants to see anybody on SmackDown. That's the fucking problem. The problem of the matter is you got Bayley at the top, who we all want to see, still the Women's Champion. But then you got nobody else but Sasha that is going to be a believable and entertaining opponent for Bayley. So what do you do? Why don't you have one of those other superstars on Monday Night Raw that you're not using, like a Ruby Riott or a Bianca Belair? Why don't you have them come over on Friday nights and challenge Bayley and make it a program out of that? Or why don't you conduct a trade and maybe bring somebody over from Monday Night Raw and trade Carmella to Monday Night Raw and bring over a Ruby Riott, or trade a Dana Brooke and a Carmella to Monday Night Raw and get Ruby Riott and Bianca Belair over on SmackDown? Let's make some fucking use out of these women and make this women's division right again. Or better yet, this wouldn't even be an issue if you actually did what I fucking been stating you should do over the last 3 goddamn fucking years and merge the divisions and make it as one so you wouldn't be running into this situation. You don't need 2 championships. Now you run into the situation that I've been talking about for years. Look at what you got. You got 2 championships, 1 championship on Monday night, 1 on SmackDown, 1 is barely hanging on, and 1 right now has nothing going on for it. Because you're looking at the overall state of the division and there's nobody but Sasha Banks set up for Bayley. I don't know what you do. Do you bring somebody up from NXT and make it really epic? Maybe a sneak attack, maybe looking to get someone on the main roster in the best way possible, fast track them, they're gunning right for the top. Who could it be? Who could you call up from NXT to fit into that you don't have on the main roster right now? Bianca and Ruby Riott stand out as 2 women right now that deserve so much better than what is going on right now for each and every one of those women. More so than anybody. It needs to be planned out. I am all for waiting on this match, but this is the one match that needs to happen. Bayley needs to be the women's champion. Seriously. Now, I don't know what you do. I really don't. Normally I have all the answers. Or normally I act like I have all the answers. Normally I bring a good creative decision. I'm gonna tap out on this one, guys. I don't know. I don't know what you do. WWE right now, they're not canceling the match, but they're waiting for the match to open itself up to be a little bit more important than what they would do now with it. Meaning they want a live audience for the match. Meaning they want the match to be at its absolute peak. They want it to happen in Boston. And they want Sasha to go over and win the Women's Championship and have a face run with the championship. So, I don't know how we get there. I don't know who you would feud Bayley with until that happens. I don't know. Ruby Riott and Bianca Belair are the two names that come to mind. Nobody else really is going to generate. Naomi is another one. Bayley and Naomi can have some great matches. You know, build a storyline with Naomi. I'm not saying Naomi needs to win the championship, but put her on fucking TV. She hasn't even been on TV. Maybe Liv Morgan comes over and goes right for the top. I could see Bayley versus Liv Morgan for a month or two. Build it up. I don't know what you do here, man. I'm really tapped out on ideas. The women's division, and this goes to the women's division being fucking terrible. The overall state of women's wrestling in WWE on the main roster is terrible. There's nothing going on. And when there is something going on, it's so difficult to make something happen because there is nobody. You killed the division for Charlotte. You killed it. Nobody's going to believe in a Lacey Evans. Nobody's going to believe in a Liv Morgan or Dana Brooke. Something needs to be done, man. I just don't know what it is, but I'm all for them saving this match until the time is right. Because if there's one match in the overall state of the women's division right now that's going to at least trend upwards and bring us back to what we all fell in love with in the first place, it's this match. So we'll see what happens with that. AJ Styles felt responsible for the release of Gallows and Anderson. He actually spoke on After the Bell with Corey Graves. He says this, and I quote, "I mean, it's different for me. This is moving to Fox. I think they're doing a really good job. So I'm excited about that, to be working with those guys. And it's just doing something different, man. It's good for me. I needed a change. I don't mean to harp on this, but losing Gallows and Anderson really hurt me. So getting away from Raw helps me get over it. I don't know that I'll ever get over it, but it helps me change the atmosphere around me to do something different because my whole time on Raw was with them. So getting away from that and getting to SmackDown, where I've had a lot of success, is a good thing." AJ brought Karl Anderson and Luke Gallows into the WWE. The company looked as though they were starting to push the Good Brothers on several occasions, but nothing more came from it after some brief periods of momentum. WWE, what WWE did is trick them into signing. They might have wanted out, and if I was to ask them, they wanted out. The money is what kept them, and this is why sometimes you got to put heart over money. The money kept them there, even though they didn't want to be there. And WWE coerced them to sign by saying, you know what, we'll push you guys as a threat. The original club on Monday night. And then what did WWE do? They took the titles off of them almost immediately. How long did they have those titles after they signed those contracts? Not long at all. Probably a month and a half. And then they went back to being nothing but losers. They were portrayed like losers because of creative and their shitty creative on Monday night. So he says this, he felt responsible for them being released. Looking back, I was the one that kind of brought their names to come to WWE and everything. So when they got released, I immediately felt responsible for them because I helped them get here. I wanted them to stay. I feel like if I had encouraged them to stay, maybe they would be fine right now. So a lot of that fell on me and it destroyed me. I feel like I let them down. I talked to them about this. I talked about it on my Mixer channel the other day after it was done. I was just crushed. I'm the oldest in this group, and they're my little brothers. I didn't take care of them, and that really bothered me. It really, really bothers me, and it still does. They have a 90-day non-compete. They're up in mid-July. I'm sure they'll tease the idea of going back to New Japan. Maybe they'll tease the idea of showing up in AEW. I don't know. AJ should not feel bad about what happened, man. You know, I always state, and I really don't know. A guy like AJ, I would assume, has a lot of influence backstage. And if he talks to Vince McMahon about something that he wants to do with Gallows, with Anderson, a storyline, how they want this to happen or where they want this storyline to go, I feel like AJ is the type of guy that would speak up and Vince McMahon would listen to what AJ has to say. And he would take what AJ says at value and maybe work around that. I don't know if that was the case, but man, these guys were fucked ever since they walked in the door. So I don't know why AJ feels responsible for them being released. WWE, I feel like they do this with everybody. They look at Karl Anderson and Luke Gallows. Luke Gallows specifically, because he was there in the WWE. He left the WWE and made himself a big name, made himself a part of one of the best tag teams in the world, in New Japan, comes back over to WWE expecting that same type of success. WWE looks down on that. WWE looks at a guy like Luke Gallows, who was an embarrassment in WWE, goes over to Japan, makes himself better than WWE ever did for him, comes back home and expects that same level of appreciation and that same level of success in WWE. Of course not. Of course not. WWE is going to take that and look at it in the most pettiest of ways. You went there, now you want to come back here and do that same thing? Ha 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 ha. Now we got you under 3 years. We're going to make you an embarrassment. We'll give you a little dose of success here and there, but the majority of your run's going to be a failure. That's what they did to EC3. Absolutely no reason why EC3 should have been buried on the main roster. They did it because he went to Impact and made himself a name. He expected to come back home and use that success for them to make the WWE more money, to make himself more money, to make himself a bigger name. WWE was like, you left us to go become more popular, and then you come back home and expect that same level of success. Not gonna happen, Mr. 3. Not gonna happen. That's exactly what they did with Luke Gallows, and Karl Anderson paid the price for it. Now, WWE fucked these guys right out of the gate. You bring a guy like AJ Styles and two guys like Karl Anderson and Luke Gallows into the company, and you don't have fun with that? You don't take and run with that fucking gimmick in the WWE? I mean, when Roman Reigns won the WWE Championship, the Shield were still a possibility of being a thing. I booked this years ago. AJ Styles comes in, and you don't debut him in the Royal Rumble. You debut him on Monday Night Raw after WrestleMania 32. Because that's exactly when it all happened. This is what you should have did. Roman Reigns comes out in the closing segments of the show, and they're attacked by Karl Anderson, or he's attacked by Karl Anderson and Luke Gallows, and you're off to the running. Masks, the Bullet Club infiltrates North America, infiltrates WWE. They're attacking Roman Reigns down in the ring, and when Roman Reigns is beat down in the ring, they take the WWE Championship, and they hold the championship up in the air to close Monday Night Raw. AJ Styles struts out to the ring wearing the same mask. He takes the mask off. Boom. AJ Styles is revealed as the newest member of the Monday Night Raw roster, aiming and gunning right for Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns obviously can't fight this match and this feud by himself, so he enlists Rollins and he enlists Ambrose, and we got the club versus the Shield, 1-on-1, faction versus faction. The matches that would lead Monday Night Raw and the charge on Monday Night Raw. Rollins and Styles, Rollins and Romans, Ambrose and Rollins. You got Rollins and Ambrose versus Luke Gallows and Karl Anderson. You know? Could have been a fun fucking blood feud. They came in to take over WWE and they didn't do it. For what reason? I don't know. Because WWE did not create the Bullet Club, so they were not going to take something that was majorly popular over in Japan and use it on their show because it's something that they did not create. AJ Styles should not, as far as creatively and why they got fired, should not be responsible or feel responsible for he could feel sad that he's no longer on the road with his brothers. I'm not saying he can't feel sad, but he should not be blaming himself for them getting fired. It has nothing to do with AJ Styles. It has something to do with WWE. And it's their loss. And all I can say here is that I hope wherever they go, they truly shove it in WWE's face and show them that it is their loss. You dropped the fucking ball with us, and you had a major summer-long storyline fucking drop. Face down, on its face. Splatter all over the place, and you missed the boat. That's what AJ should be feeling sorry about. The fact that they got fired, yes, and the fact that WWE Creative let them down for one petty reason or another. Now, AJ was traded to SmackDown. It was a late decision. This was reported, I believe this was reported by Ringside News. Now, take this with a grain of salt, man. Jesus Christ, take it with a grain of salt. They're a bunch of fucking scumbags over there. It was a late decision, and the trade announcement was something that they decided to do after the SmackDown tapings. Cole was asked to do a voiceover from his house to be inserted into the broadcast. There was a second voiceover done, and that was inserted later into the show. Styles defeated Nakamura to advance in the IC title tournament, and WWE's been pushing that the IC title is the only belt that Styles has never won while in the WWE, so that may be the reason for the trade. Whatever the reason is, they're using AJ Styles on SmackDown to bolster the ratings on SmackDown because it's not where Fox wants it to be. Another thing to consider is that WWE had announced the brand-to-brand invitational only allows superstars to appear on the opposite brand 4 times per year, but Styles will burn through that just by appearing in this tournament. So they opted to just say, you know what, let's not go that route. Let's get him on SmackDown permanently, and we'll come up with some shitty excuse. So WWE's trade of SmackDown was a late decision, and it happened late Friday night. Now, what does the future considerations mean for AJ Styles? It's confusing. It's confusing. Now, the same source that talked to Ringside News said that at the time, there's no word on what the future considerations Vince McMahon has in mind will be. They were told that there's no word from Bruce Pritchard or Ed Koskey on why Styles was moved over. There's no word on what the future considerations or considerations will be. This new line, this line is not new by WWE. Future considerations is not the only time that they've mentioned it. They mentioned it with Apollo Crews. They mentioned it when Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross were traded during the draft last time it happened. So this is not a new line. WWE's used this before, and it's a way to get out of explaining why someone jumped from one brand to another because they're lazy fucking idiots in creative. The idea could have been fans generally forgetting about little reasons like that, so they just want to move on, and others like me do not forget. So who the considerations will be, I don't know. I mentioned this already. You know, you could have did something along the lines of, you know, Rob Gronkowski is back. He signed playing football with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. WWE needed somebody to fill that roster spot. In comes AJ Styles. What about Apollo Crews? This was the most blatant, obvious choice that they could have went with, and they didn't go through with it. Apollo Crews showed up on Monday Night Raw. They didn't tell anybody about why Apollo Crews was moved to Monday Night Raw from SmackDown Live. They could have said, Apollo Crews just moved to Monday Night Raw. And in return, it was later announced that Apollo Crews moved to Monday Night Raw in exchange for AJ Styles. Does the trade make sense? No, but at least it would have been something, and it would have been an explanation of sorts instead of not giving us anything. Could have been used as something, or you could have even went back further than that. Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross got moved to Monday Night Raw at the time in exchange for future considerations. Now SmackDown used that future consideration and said, you know what, we want to cash that in. Let's bring over AJ Styles. You guys get a 2-for-1 deal. Could have been something. Instead, WWE opted to do nothing. And they will not explain it because they don't even have a fucking idea as to why they moved AJ Styles over to Monday, from Monday to SmackDown. I'll tell you why. Ratings. That's exactly why they did it. There were storylines in place for AJ Styles. Now, Meltzer talked about this. Before he was moved to SmackDown, he had storylines in place. Meltzer noted on Wrestling Observer Radio that there were long-term plans for Styles on Raw, but those plans were dropped. Meltzer noted that Styles was supposed to get several new babyfaces on Raw over to a new level, but that never happened. This was discussed by Meltzer and Bryan Alvarez during a larger discussion about Apollo Crews winning the United States Championship, which we'll talk about tomorrow. Although Crews looked great on Monday, history shows that McMahon will give up on wrestlers such as Crews, and the odds are against Crews becoming a top babyface. They say this, and I quote, AJ was there to make new babyfaces. That was what he was going to be doing there, Meltzer said. How many new babyfaces did he make? None. He didn't even lose on the way out. Well, he lost to The Undertaker, but that didn't really matter. And it didn't really factor into anything. It was just him in a cinematic match against The Undertaker being buried in a grave. He didn't really, suffer from that whatsoever. Meltzer went on to list some of the names that were supposed to be put over by Styles. He says, and I quote, my point is that every one of those guys from Ricochet to Cedric to Humberto, every single one of them was supposed to be in a big feud with AJ where they would get over and they would win the title and get a win, and not one of them did. Not one of them did. What does that say about what Vince thinks of those guys and what Vince thinks of guys like Styles? He will never put faith in any of those guys or anybody like that, which is an absolute fucking shame, and you wonder why Monday Night Raw is dying on Monday night. Meltzer mentioned Apollo Crews winning the United States Championship, but not having confidence that he will get a big push because Vince McMahon is still in charge, and this is the same Vince that nixed plans for a push to Crews a few years after people in NXT had big plans for him. So there you go. Am I the only one who doesn't have faith in this company, folks? Even the biggest names in the industry that do what I do not have any faith in WWE. AJ Styles is still teaching him, He can teach a lot of things. Hopefully he teaches Elias how to wrestle good tonight. But a lot of AJ Styles news, number one. And number two, AJ Styles is teasing a match with The Undertaker still. Now, this was also talked about on The Observer. And a couple of weeks ago on Monday Night Raw, Styles was seen backstage watching a clip from the first chapter of the documentary. Wasn't even Meltzer, but you could have seen it firsthand on Monday Night Raw. He's watching the first chapter of the documentary, and he was frustrated by The Undertaker. This week was announced that Styles was traded to SmackDown. He won over Nakamura. He's got Elias tonight. Styles was interviewed by Caleb Braxton on WWE.com for an exclusive, and he had some words for The Undertaker. I gotta redeem myself, Styles said. No one gets buried alive and comes back like AJ Styles. I hope The Undertaker hears every word I'm saying. He added, additionally, that's all I've been thinking about. It's all anyone has talked about. I don't know, man. SummerSlam seems like the perfect place to kind of end this feud, but I do not think The Undertaker is going to retire with AJ Styles. I do think that The Undertaker, and we talked about this last week, The Undertaker should retire at WrestleMania. That is his event. There's no place else that The Undertaker should retire. It's either... You could make a case for Survivor Series being that was his debut, but WrestleMania is his event. That's where the most legendary streak in the business emanated, WrestleMania. Drew McIntyre, WWE Championship, one final run, doesn't do it, rides off into the sunset. Or he wins the title, goes out on top like a Michael Jordan, and goodbye. You know? Vacates the title, and we have a tournament starting on the next night. Either way, I'm all for it. I'm all for it. So he's still teasing a match with The Undertaker, and I can absolutely see that happening at SummerSlam in some way, shape, or form. And finally, guys, I got a big story here on Drew Gulak. Why he worked the SmackDown tapings on Friday. Now, this is during Wrestling Observer Radio. We all know that WWE did not give Gulak the money he wanted. He walked. There were negotiations ongoing there. And Fightful reported that he was at the SmackDown tapings as of tonight. Wrestling Observer Radio discussed Drew Gulak's situation. He was contacted for work once it was known he had a non-compete or no non-compete clause. Apparently, the impression Gulak gave everyone was that he already had plans in mind. So Gulak, playing the puppeteer, bro, playing the WWE on his strings, he gave the impression that he had plans. He had a no non-compete stipulation in his contract. So Meltzer says this, and I quote, I know people who tried to book him for future dates because, he was actually a free agent. He could have showed up on Dynamite, really. He could have been on whatever show he wanted. He could have been a Double or Nothing. And the way he reacted, I guess, by the way he reacted when people contacted him, they didn't know what he was doing or if he was coming back to the WWE, but they knew he was going somewhere because he wasn't interested in anything. So it was assumed that he was going to WWE or AEW, but he had already pretty much made up his mind that he wasn't going anywhere else. Money was the reason why Gulak did not sign anywhere before, and presumably he got a better deal this time. The contract negotiations obviously worked out in Drew Gulak's favor. WWE might not mind if some of their superstars end up in AEW. They obviously wanted to keep such a valuable asset like Gulak around. You might think that Gulak is not worth it. You might think that Gulak is anything but valuable. You don't find guys like that. Very difficult to find guys like that. Gulak can add a lot to his SmackDown. He's not going to be a game changer. Nobody's expecting him to be a ratings fucking draw. They're not going to generate 3 or 4 ratings with Drew Gulak in the main event or on the show in general. But a guy like that is very difficult to find. You're not going to find better in this sport than a Drew Gulak. So why would you just willingly let him go without even giving him an opportunity to say, you know what, we think much of you. We think very highly of you. Come on, let's talk. We'll give you what you want. You know? It's almost as if WWE was letting him walk and they didn't appreciate what he did for them. Everything that Gulak was asked to do, he did it. You don't think he's going to bring that and do it better somewhere else? Make the same amount of money that he made in WWE, if not more? WWE would be foolish to let this guy go. Much more Gulak can do for WWE than what they have portrayed him to do. Hopefully he gets a good push and we see him regularly in the mid-card. Gulak is perfect for that Intercontinental title run. In that Intercontinental title, secondary title hunt. Perfect. If WWE doesn't see that, I'm not surprised. They always fall down on pushing new talent or finding out who is good and who's not. So, that's my take on that. And I am getting out of here, man. What a show. Holy shit. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. I am getting out of here. I'll see you guys tonight for SmackDown. And SmackDown should be a good show. We got Matt Riddle. We got Jeff Hardy and Daniel Bryan. We got AJ and Elias. We got some Braun Strowman bullshit. I'm sure some Mandy and Sonya bullshit. So we'll see what happens there. But I hope you guys enjoyed the show, man. Long one today. Hit that thumbs up. Let me know what you think down below. Did I change? Fuck no, man. I ain't going anywhere. Thank you guys so much. At JDfromNY206 on Twitter and Instagram as well. Make sure you guys check out all the other videos that you might have missed on the channel. And I will see you guys right back here for tonight on SmackDown on Off the Script. See you guys then.